Welcome to Ricas Platicas, everyone. This is our 6th episode, and we're going to have a kind of a random discussion today. Random discussion Wednesday, I guess. We're here with the usual guys. Present yourselves.
Jesse.
Jose, what's going on?
And
Gil.
And Richard.
Yeah.
Today's guest is Richard Guerra. He's a photographer, and
I'm the guest.
well, we're all guests, I guess, in a way. We're all guests of the Lord today. So, so we're just gonna get started, man. I guess we're gonna let Jesse kick it off today with the question.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about a little bit about what Richard does. He does a lot of photography, and we're trying to find out what is it that makes you so successful at what you do. So we want you to kind of tell all the young people out there that are trying to get into photography, what is it that they need to do, and what is it that they shouldn't do.
I guess to narrow it down, what do we start off with? You know, how do we get started for somebody
how do you even start?
Doesn't even know where to even get started?
That's a good question because I don't quite remember where I even started, to be honest with you.
Do you need a camera to start?
Yeah, most definitely.
Well, you know, we already have iPhones. You know,
Yeah.
that's a pretty powerful camera right
There
there.
you go.
I'll just let me give you my simple story of how I kind of came about into the photography game. So, a long time ago, I used to work a security job, right? And there was a guy in the class academy with me that he decided he was going to take pictures of the whole academy while we're, doing firearms training and this and that. And one day during the academy, I was like, hey, let me check out some of those pictures that you're taking or whatever. And of course, I saw the back of the camera and at the time, I thought they're the most badass shots I've ever seen, So of course, I asked him what camera he had and had to have it too, you know what I mean? Because I thought that was gonna turn me into
A photographer,
right? So yeah, it took me a few months. I saved up for it and bought it, the exact same one that he had. And then, for one, they're not. It's just not something that you can just pick up and start hitting a button and be awesome at.
Right.
You gotta learn it. So I got the camera, tried to mess with it, and it's just too hard. I couldn't figure it out, so it just sat in the box for probably 2 years.
Wow. Which camera did it happen to be?
It was a Nikon D90.
Oh, I see.
What do you have now? But anyway, so it sat around for years, man, and a buddy of mine, Gilbert, shout out to Gilbert. A few years after I had got that camera, he had a cheap camera as well, and he knew some people that wanted some save the date pictures. They're gonna get married, right? So he called me up. He's like, hey, these people hit me up to go take some pictures for them at the park. You should bring your little camera too, and we'll shoot together and see what we can do. I'm like, all right, whatever. So I brought my camera, shooting in auto. Obviously, I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
We were both over there, taking pictures of this couple, and got them home. Had some cheap software on the computer. We put filters on them or whatever, and showed the couple. And when they come to look at them, they're all teary-eyed and playing music and shit, and like they were all blown away about them. So I was like, maybe we're not so bad. Maybe we can do something with it. And to be honest with you, that, speaking of motivation, that kind of I guess the feeling that you get of reward, whenever the feeling of
A satisfied client.
a satisfied client is it put a spark in you, so
Yeah, and especially if like that's your passion, your interest.
right.
Yeah.
So from there, man, I just started, researching how to actually work my camera and what lenses were good and what you needed for this and that, and it's just been nonstop ever since. That was probably 2013, maybe something like that. So
Cool. So you kind of just started as an interest, and then you had to do your own research and start looking.
Tons
You
of
didn't
research.
get taught by anybody?
No, not formally, no. All off of YouTube, pretty much.
Yeah.
YouTube and hard work.
Yeah. And see, I got lucky because Richard actually did teach me whenever I was barely starting, man. I remember he hit me up and he was like, hey, I got some camera equipment for sale. And I was like, dude, let me check it out. And it happened to be the perfect, starter setup, anybody could get. And then, you went on there, started teaching me all the details. So that really helped me out to even get started. Yeah.
Awesome.
So
I didn't even know that.
yeah, he's the one that helped me to get started, and I would have been clueless, if I would have just got that camera, because there's so much things to figure out.
Yeah, I mean, even though it's a basic camera,
Yeah.
I mean, it's still a lot to it, man.
That's pretty cool. You actually taught them. There's a bunch of people that are like, fuck off.
Yeah.
Learn by yourself.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that.
Yeah, that's in every profession. It seems like you try to ask someone for help, and then it's like, man, go learn it yourself. I'll learn it by myself. And it shouldn't be like that, but that's the way it is.
So I took that example and I apply it in my life. Since I was freely taught, anytime somebody come and ask me for advice, I make sure I do the same thing. Cause yeah, it's true. A lot of people deny, tips. Even just basic tips on how to get started.
Yeah.
So
Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I didn't have some kind of help like that along the way either. I have had people that knew a lot more than I did, give me tips on this and what you should change. And another guy, Brian Swisher from Livingston, shout out to Brian. I would send him pictures of some of my work and be like, hey, what do you think? And he was straight up honest, like more honest than I probably wanted him to be. You know what I mean?
yeah.
But it's hard to take criticism in anything, So,
And I
but
think
that's the thing is you have to be able to take
that,
it.
Yeah, and I think as professional photographers like Brian is, he's really good. He knows what it takes. It takes criticism to actually get good. So if he saw that you really wanted it as a professional photographer, I guess if you really want somebody to grow, you got to give them that straight up advice. And I have this girl messages me a lot asking me for advice as well, and she sent me she uploaded some pictures, and every time she uploads them, she'll ask me like, hey, what do you think about this? And I'm brutally honest as well. I tell her, you got a lot of work to do, because it does take honest criticism from somebody who, if you really want somebody to grow, you got to give them
that's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, people take it the wrong way, but I mean, it's either lie to them and they never improve, or tell them the truth and hopefully they can improve on it.
Yeah.
And I think that I guess it works in a lot of areas of life.
Oh yeah.
As well, we're all musicians here, right? And it applies as well in music. There's a lot of people who in music don't even want to help you out, man. Especially music, I've
been down that road too.
Then you got the people that go into your YouTube channel and always put the dislike, and that's actually what drives you more to try to better yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
So thanks to all the people that put the dislikes,
all the haters out there.
Because that's really what drives us even more. Like, you think that's gonna put us down, like that drives us. That's our drive.
And the people that do that, they can't even play an instrument themselves. Kind of ironic.
Can't even whistle.
Well, I think it drives the true ones, like the ones that really want to do it, because not everyone is driven by criticism. There's people who are just gonna straight up quit or se agüitan or whatever, and no, heck no, I'm not good enough. After 3-4 times that they tried something. So it really does. You can test, I guess, yourself whenever you get criticized. See if you're the real deal.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna change it up a little bit right now, because this is not just an interview, and we do just go off into other different things, but we are gonna this related to what you do, and this is part of something that's going on right now with the whole world that a bunch of people don't know what side to take on. Do you do pictures for anybody, even if it was like a gay couple?
Yeah. So if I don't do pictures, it's not for any kind of moral reasons or anything like that. For instance, I prefer not to do, like, say, newborn pictures or anything like that, just because that's just not my style. You know what I mean? That's not what I'm into. But of course, it's not because I hate babies or anything like that. It's just I just prefer not to. So my areas of interest in photography are weddings, quinceañeras, seniors for the most part. Portraits and events, basically.
But would you do something?
Would I shoot a gay wedding? Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. How far would you go? Like, as far as like the pictures, like, say, like they wanted to come out.
Wanted, man.
What if both of them wanted to, say, if it's girl and girl, or like guy and guy,
like, kiss or whatever?
Well, what if they wanted to come out where, like,
lingerie
both naked?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but,
I mean-
but they're not showing anything, but like they're
But then-
hugging.
yeah,
Would you be open to do something like that?
The thing with that is it's like I said, it starts
A fine line?
It starts going into a different genre that I don't do, which is like boudoir and stuff like that.
Okay.
That kind of there's different genre for that, you know what I'm saying?
And it's a whole nother
And it's-
deal.
Yeah, and it's not that I wouldn't do it because I'm morally against it. It's just not. It's not something that I can advertise. It's not something that I can put out there to draw in the same kind of client. So, would I do it? Probably. Would I advertise it? Probably not.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as a traditional gay wedding, or you know, a guy and guy or girl and girl at the altar or whatever, you know, it's a wedding, so I could advertise that. Yeah, I'd shoot it and I'd post it.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know why if you start business, you know, everybody has their personal beliefs and moral, I guess, moral compass, you know, but to deny service, you know, business, I mean, if you're a business person,
Yeah,
that
it's
doesn't
crazy.
really help you, you
And,
know.
and it's happened before. I can't remember exactly what it was. I think it was
A cake.
yeah, the guy,
Oh,
the
yeah,
people
yeah.
that make the cakes, they would not make cakes
Yep.
for gays. So that's why I was kind of wondering
Yeah.
about.
That's strange.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
I guess we can say does moral reasons get in the way of your photography at all or no?
Not at all.
Okay. Yeah, it's a lot of people. It's kind of like the music. A lot of people think that a photographer, like a band, since it's a photographer, it's a band. You know, you could just do whatever style of session, or you could do whatever style of music, and that's not the case. You know, you know, you have your interests. I have my interests. I like to do bands. You know, I like to do music as much as I can get into music and leave other stuff behind. You know, that's better for me. But everybody has their own, I guess, style of shooting photography or style of doing whatever, you know, music or whatever. So let's get a little bit into detail about the process that it takes a photographer, I guess, for an event. Like, how do you go about getting ready and
For an event?
Yeah, for an event. And you know, somebody who wants to do pictures for like
Man,
an event.
that's complex right there.
Yeah.
I guess for somebody like, I guess at my level, I don't know what you want to call my level. I'm not saying I'm up there or anything like that, but there are obviously gear requirements that you need to have in order to be qualified to, not
To even
qualified,
shoot
but
an event.
I mean, you're talking about somebody's wedding day here, right?
Right.
You can't repeat it. You can't redo it. You can't. So you need to be somewhat knowledgeable on what you're doing, right?
Right.
That's what I mean by qualified. By, you know, having second shot or done some kind of prior experience work like that. You know, you should have some experience for sure before you just jump in and ruin someone's day. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But
So
let's say someone like me, who's never done photography, what would I need to get started? You know, what are like the fundamentals that you think at your level that you're at already, that if you was to start again, how would you go about it this time?
aside from gear, because that is a big part of it, and it's not cheap. You know what I'm saying? That's just the bottom line. I mean, you can't lie about that. It's not cheap. Aside from that, though, definitely experience. So, say you did have a little bit of money to throw around and you wanted to buy a decent camera and a light or whatever and a lens. Get someone like me or Ricardo or others around here, and say, hey, would you guys be willing to let me tag along with you guys on a wedding or on an engagement shoot or any kind of shoot? Just because it's basically the same. I mean, the pressure is a little higher on a wedding day than it would be on a normal shoot, obviously, but you can see how to interact with people. You got to be, somewhat.
Pretty much expose yourself.
Yeah, just expose yourself to the way of doing a session and taking pictures. But so say you had the money to throw around or whatever, and that's it. You just got to tag along and learn, man.
Yeah, it's one of the things that is very fundamental, I guess, in what you're saying is that anybody who wants to start something is not alone in this world. Like any idea you have, there's somebody already ahead of you.
Yeah.
That's already working on it.
Way ahead of you.
Yeah, so if you come up with an idea, I have a lot of people say, I want to do this, I want to do that. How do I get started? Well, the first thing you can do is look at the people that already started. Mm-hmm. And, there's a lot of people willing to give advice, or not only just give advice, but include yourself. You know, say, how can I bring value to you? How can I help you out? How can I go help you on a session? You know, help you do this, help you edit pictures. And you know, I'm pretty certain that there's a lot of people, you know, like us, you know, any musicians that are willing to say, you know what, you know, come here and I'll help you out, teach you what I know. And that's what I've told anybody that's come to me. You know, I'm here all the time. We could set something up. I could teach you the basics, and you know, you're not so lost.
Let me tell you what not to do. Do not be that guy with the big head that thinks that they can just do it on their own and it doesn't require any kind of experience, or you know what I mean, because that'll wind you in trouble, and you'll be 10 steps behind you know than you would have been if you would have, you know, asked for help or whatever. I mean, I don't know what it is about ego, but I mean, of course it happens to everybody. It's happened to me, but some people just, they can't get rid of that ego, and
it's something very fundamental, like be humble. The more humble you are, the more your mind's open up to get more information, because you're not saying you know it all, or you know, you're able to learn. You're able to have some free space to learn, you know.
Exactly. And I think that's one of the most important things that we should remember, is like to remember life, you don't ever finish learning. You should always be receptive to any kind of criticism, whether it's good or bad. You know,
of course.
You can't fix anything that if you're not aware that it's wrong. You know, it's one thing I've learned across.
Yeah.
So anytime anybody has to say, you know, whenever we're recording or anything like that in the studio, how does that sound? You're like, hey man, not to be mean, but it sounds cheesy. Yeah. Cool. Good. I could change it with something else, and you have a better product. I mean, it's just you're putting the best of what you can into what you're doing, kind of like your photography, like our music, you know, our studies. Yeah. Nonetheless, that's what you want, the best of the best. So you gotta be able to be receptive to that criticism.
Yeah. And whenever you you know, you start something and you see a lot of people already walking that road, the next thing is, you know, a lot of people say it, you know, look at the friends you have around you. Look at the people, your circle that's influencing you to be a part, you know, to be who you are now. And one of the things that I made a major change in my example is, you know, I paired up with, you know, here we are, you know, people like us that are involved in the things I love, you know. That's how you get, that's how you dive in, you know. You don't even get your feet wet, you dive in, because when I brought this idea up, you know, my friend Gil here, we were talking about it, and at first it was kind of very hard to put this all together, like how are we gonna get started, how are we gonna do this, how are we gonna do that. But if we close ourselves in, you're not gonna find the answer.
Yeah, you're not gonna figure it out.
You're not gonna figure it out. I mean, you'll get started and it'll be okay, but it's not compared to getting teamed up with people that say, you know what, let's do this, and let's get whatever we need to get. Like Jesse, let's get, you know, we need mics, we need this, we need that. And now you have a clear vision, you know, because you can't cover everything.
Yeah.
You cover a piece, and then you start grouping up together with people that cover different areas, you know. I think that's the secret of big corporations like Apple. You know, I've heard a lot of stories about Steve Jobs or Mark Zuckerberg. You know, they would team up with people that could cover the area that they couldn't cover, right? And nowadays, it's so easy to just, I guess it's not easy, but there's so much resources that you could find online, that there's people just dedicated to doing that. For example, Fiverr is one of the, you know, biggest websites where you can just go on there and find editors, find animators, find voiceovers, find logo creators, you know, and it's countless amounts of people that are just dedicated to doing that. So, you know, I don't think there's excuse if you really want to try to start something. You know, there's just so much resources, especially now. You go back 10 years from now and you want to be a photographer, you know, you had to do
You're limited big time.
Yeah, you're very limited, and you know, even then, I guess it still applies. You know, just pair up with the people who are necessary in your field, you know?
Yeah, the internet's such a big player nowadays in everything that we do. You know, like you say that there's everything pretty much at your fingertips now. Like, you want to look up something, like YouTube, ask a question,
Yeah.
Google. Like, back then there was none of that.
Yeah.
And you
Anything
could just-
photography related that you want to know is you can find on YouTube, guaranteed.
Yeah, I mean, we could sit here and have a whole episode about getting started on video and camera, but by the time we finish, 5-6 videos were already uploaded on YouTube specifically on what you need. And there's already new upgrades, and the world is moving so quick. Equipment. I think I emphasize a lot on, if you want to get started, you could just do it with your phone. And I hear a lot of entrepreneurs that are successful that just say that. You have no excuse. Like, your phone is one of the biggest tools you have, because you can literally make high quality video and pictures just on an iPhone. Just download an app. Don't use the auto settings. You could get an app there's one called Filmic Pro. And you could put your manual settings just like a camera, your shutter speed, your focus, and you get some really good pictures. So, and one of the things I've realized is that, we'll do a session. I don't know if this probably doesn't apply to you because you get a bunch of likes, but we do a session and they post up professional pictures, or I post up professional pictures, and you get likes, but it's not even as much likes as when you just take a picture with your phone. Like, I don't know what. I guess it's just more real, more personal when they, like these Instagram models. I see a lot of Instagram models that.
What is an Instagram model? I've seen something today. It's just a hoe that just puts pictures on the internet. Can we quit calling them the Instagram models?
Well, I mean, I know a lot of, I guess, lifestyle people that do like pictures of just them being them, and you look at these pictures and they're pretty good, man. It's not even a professional camera, it's just an iPhone, and they'll be doing whatever, just sitting by a tree or in a wall or a nice dress, whatever, and they look good. I mean, high quality pictures, and
I've had that debate with internally for a while now. Like, you sit back and think, like you said, someone will take an iPhone picture of their friend, and they're just jumping in a puddle, and then it gets 400, 500 likes, all kinds of comments, and then you think about a picture that you took of that same person, and you went all out on lighting,
right,
and editing, and perfecting a pose, and this and this and that, and it doesn't garner the same attention, and you're like, do people not see the difference? You know what I'm saying? Like, of course we do, because we're artists and photographers, and we know what's professional and what's really not, but
right.
I mean, it just goes to show that probably the general public probably doesn't know.
What I've studied in psychology is that people relate to what's real. Like, they find something within yourself to relate to that's real. If you see something that's fake, you kind of flash by it. But if you see something that's real, and it's like, oh wow, like, you find a way to relate to it,
yeah.
And that's the reason why it creates that effect of why people are more interested in that than something that's not real and it's set up and planned.
That makes sense.
And that applies to music as well, because a bunch of people wonder why the bands that don't have like the best musicians in that band are the ones that are really successful, and a bunch of it is that once you start having a band that's like, I don't know what you want to call it, it's just full of good musicians, it's like they're trying to outdo each other most of the time, and you can't really even pay attention to the song anymore. Usually when you have musicians that are not as good, like, you hear more of the voice and you can appreciate what the song's about. And I think that's what it is about with the picture as well. You can appreciate what the picture is about. So you jump into a puddle
rather than all the technical.
Yeah,
interpretation of the moment. I mean, basically.
Right.
Yeah. And and like Gil says, it's more real. Like, I see a lot of these high quality music videos, and then I see like those viral people that just upload a fucking video of them just singing or just singing or playing the guitar, like that Justin Bieber kid from Mexico, that Justin MX, that does Serreño, that did like the Titanic, and
oh shoot,
yeah, man, like just on his phone. you know, and it was an Android. So I mean, that tells you something, you know. and this kid, you know, went viral. The other kid that went viral as well, the one that was doing at Walmart, he was doing like country singing.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, he went on the Allen show, I think.
Did they take a guitar from the aisle or something, one of those little baby guitars or something? And
I'm not sure.
I seen one like that.
I actually seen that dude do a commercial. He's advertising a little gig that he's gonna do outside of Walmart to kids. Or something.
Yeah. They actually got him on a show, and they paid a scholarship for his college, and they're doing tours for him now. And this kid was on, you know, on a mobile video. But I think, you know, a lot of people see, I guess, the overnight success, you know, and that's another thing we could talk about is they didn't really see because he was talking about he did almost every day at Walmart, just standing there while people were cashing out, just singing, you know. He did that over and over every day. It's if you focus on trying to make it big like this, you know, you're just in it for the quick. It's like a quick high you just want to get. But you know, this kid, you can actually see he loves what he does. You know, he was planning on doing this for the rest of his life, so why not get started, you know, and doing it every day. And I think that's one of the things that really matters is, I believe, is quantity over quality. Mm-hmm. That's how I believe. But
quality over quantity, right?
I think it's more about quantity.
Quantity?
Yeah, because
meaning
that's how you
meaning
get
longevity, doing something.
Yeah, meaning throwing a lot of content out there, because that's how
everything.
Yeah, because that's how you get into quality. You know, how do you find quality? You gotta throw a lot of stuff out there. You know, you gotta just keep moving. That's, in my personal life, that's how I got better at photography. Is just doing pictures. You know, at first I didn't even worry about the price. You know, like, you know, I at first just pay for my gas, pay for my gas and a meal. Boom. You know, I was throwing out pictures, sessions, and the music videos. The first 3-4 music videos, I didn't get anything from it. I had to invest, you know, and I think, you know, that's very important, just to throw out massive amounts of content out there.
Right.
And that's how you find your quality.
Mm-hmm. And I think that applies to only a couple of things, because I think it's the other way around in a bunch of other aspects of life. It's really like the quality
versus the quantity.
Yeah, but it just depends, I guess.
It depends. I see.
It does.
I see both ways. I see what he's saying too.
Because if you try to be a perfectionist, because this is what I was trying to do, and Gil knows, with the podcast. You know, at first it was like I had a checklist. This is what I need in order to get started. You know, bam. You know, I need this. I need that. I need this.
Yeah.
I need canvases. I need lighting. I need boom, a GoPro here. And to be honest with you, you know,
you don't need all that.
You'll never get started if you sit here and just think of all the things you need. You know, man. Because I'm like, dude, are you serious? I'm already a photographer. I got a camera. I got lighting. You know, we're musicians. Can we not come up with a little mixer? Like, you know, so you start, whenever you focus too much on the things you don't have, you don't get anything done. You know,
it's like whenever you have a dream that you want to do something, but you have a job that you're holding. You know.
Yeah.
The only way to do what you do is to leave what you've got, but you don't leave it because in your mind you're like, well, I still haven't replaced my income. I still haven't got that steady paycheck every week or every 2 weeks, and that's why people don't quit my job. Well, that applies to me, you know, because I want to do something, but yet I still don't have all these things, so I haven't taken action on it.
Right.
Well, and to me, what I think, that's kind of an excuse sometimes.
Yeah.
Because
it really is.
we all have our jobs, and we all play on weekends, and we do this. And we got other things that we also do. Richard, you're a musician.
You can tell us a little bit about that. How, like,
man,
tell us how do you juggle everything?
I don't even know how I do it.
Yeah.
No, but I mean,
if you really want it, you're gonna do it.
Yeah.
You'll make the time.
Yeah.
You'll make the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And if you don't want to do it, you'll make an excuse.
Yeah.
There'll always be an excuse to why you can't.
Yeah.
You're always working, like, you're always doing something. I always see you post something. It's like you're always doing something.
Day job, Monday through Friday, I work. Try to go to the gym every day almost. Got a family. I play music. I take pictures. not only do you take pictures, but you have to edit those pictures. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's
And that's
there's
part of the
more
hardest
stuff
part.
behind the scenes than there is than what you actually do.
Yeah,
you
what-
know what I
yeah.
mean?
So we were talking about the other day. Everybody wants everything handed to them.
Yeah.
Nothing's ever gonna be handed to you. If you're listening to this right now and you want to do something with your life, if you're just waiting for someone to hand you something, you're wasting your fucking time.
Yeah, it's not.
Get
It's,
up
it's
and
not
do it
gonna happen.
yourself.
Yeah,
That's the way you're gonna be able to do it.
yeah,
Yeah. And you gotta keep going. I mean, whenever you start something, just keep in mind, you don't fail until you quit. The day you quit, that's as far as you went. It's over.
yeah.
That's always our cover.
And with that being said, we're gonna go to a quick commercial, and we'll be right back. Thank you for listening to Ricas Platicas.
Club La Sierra los invita a que no se pierdan noches de karaoke todos los jueves y todos los grandes eventos que solamente La Sierra Event Center les trae. Sigan escuchando Ricas Platicas.
So we're back to Ricas Platicas, everyone. Thank you for listening to the advertisement. We're here talking with Richard Guerra about his busy life and how how you keep up with everything, bro. I mean, you know, you're saying before the break that you got a band, you got a full-time job and a family, and how do you find the energy to keep going? You know, there's people that go to, you know, a fucking 9 to 4 job and they go home and sleep.
Yeah.
And they don't do anything because they're so worn out.
It must be that hour gym session every now and then, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I guess it's just because everything I do, I love doing, you know? I guess minus the full-time job, I guess, but something you kind of have to do nowadays, you know, but...
Yeah.
I think that's more into you loving as well, providing for your family, right? That it's a big drive, you know, because I know in my case, you know, I don't have a family, but when I recently got married, that was a big, you know, it fueled me a lot to not only just worry about myself anymore, but now I have somebody else, you know, that I have to fight for in a future family that, you know, that I'm planning on, that I want to, you know, have it stable before, you know, my future kids get here. And so that's a big fuel, I guess. What about you, Jesse?
Yeah, I think it falls into everything as far as like being a grown up. There's a bunch of people that I always hear guys like, I'll take care of my kids. I like, motherfucker, they're your fucking kids. That's,
you're supposed to do.
Yeah, like, I hate it when people fucking say shit like that.
Yeah.
To the truth, because I get up every morning to go to work, and I do it for the love of my family.
Right.
And I don't need to be bragging to anybody that I'm doing this and doing that. Like, no, like that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
So, but as far as like everything else, yeah, you gotta love what you do, and if you're loving what you're doing, then it's not as hard. Yeah, if there's a bunch of people that want to be musicians or whatever, and they just want to do it just because they want fame or they want to be on stage or whatever the fuck else they want to do it for.
Right.
They want that rock star life. See,
Attention.
They don't want those callous hands, man. Every hour you spend in practice.
Yeah.
I remember when I first picked up Bajo Sesto, you know, one of our friends called us up and said, hey, we need a Bajo player. I was like, I practice at home, but not much.
Yeah.
One summer during school, the 3 months, I did not leave my house, but to go to like the convenience store and back home in the entire summer practicing and practicing and practicing. You know, and you got to keep that in mind. That comes with that.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
and it's that is that you like it. You like doing it, and once you like it, you can spend hours and hours doing what you're doing, but it's still work. And if you don't like it, if you're just doing it because you want fame or whatever, you're not gonna want to be a musician very long. We were talking earlier during our break about the long trips, and I want you to share the craziest trip you've ever been on with the band.
Ooh, man.
I know you've had a bunch.
Yeah.
Man.
Trips, I mean, that's the worst part to me. Like, I hate driving, you know, these 10, 12 hours to, you know, go to some random club and, you know, play. And I love playing. That's the awesome part.
That's the drive.
But you know, there's a lot of stuff, like you were saying, there's a lot of stuff behind the curtains. There's more stuff that goes on behind the curtains
than what you actually see.
It's like a show, you know. When you go see a show, you see the you know, the in production of all the hard work, practice, and failures, and, you know, sleepless nights and headaches. You know, you don't get to see all of that.
Yeah, and I think that's where a bunch of people don't realize, like, that there's bands that come here to Hobbs, like big bands, and everybody was like, oh, they sucked or this and that. It's like, you don't even know what that band's gone through. They've probably been on the road for the last 2 months, haven't even seen their kids, haven't seen anybody.
And on top of that, they could have had some road problems like, we're not even sure we're going to make it right now.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I mean, we've all looked into that.
The frustration before you get on stage is the worst part for a musician. If you're already frustrated, like, you're not going to be performing like if you've already been there the whole day and everything's cool. Like, yeah, if you've had problems with your van or whatever, like in our case, our van, the heater went out and we were driving back freezing our ass off. Like, that's what people don't realize is like there's a bunch of bullshit along the way. You don't just get on stage and perform,
right? And then you go on stage and perform, and then you see that, you know, for beginning bands, it's a big struggle. You see that a lot of people ain't getting there. You know, it's not a really good dance, or
nobody's,
you know, Rieleros is playing next a couple of blocks away, and you kind of know it's gonna be, you know, pretty much no one's gonna go to the dance. So on top of all that, you got to deal with that, you know, and you got to put on a smiling face when you're up there playing. And you know, and that goes back to loving what you do. You love what you do. I mean, you just love it. You find passion. You find passion just to keep going. And you see, I guess it's very important to have a goal, you know, to have a actual mission and write it out and say, you know, this is where I want to be in 5 years, you know. One thing that has worked for me that keeps me massively, you know, driven to what I do is, I'm not a big strategist, but one of the things that works a lot is I did kind of like a life plan, and I saw how all the weeks I have left of my life, I guess in a way, an average person, there's not very many. No, you know, you can actually see the little squares of how many weeks you got to live. I'm like, holy fuck.
I've thought about that too, man. Like, for instance, I'm 31 years old, right? And in my opinion, I'm right at halfway, if not less than halfway, done with my life already. You know what I'm saying? So, like, if I'm going to live 30 more years, if I'm lucky.
15, because 15 you're going to be sleeping.
I'm already halfway done, dude. Like, you know, I need to get on the ball.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I'm always, you know, acutely aware of. So
yeah, and see, what I did is, you know, I kind of put it into pieces, you know, like, you know, if I want to do all the things I say I want to do, during this years, I got to be doing this.
Right.
During this years, I got to be doing this. So I kind of, you know, did like a reverse way of thinking about it. And then I started getting to, you know, my age with, you know, I'm 25, and I'm like, that means next year I have to be here. So then you narrow it down, you know, so divide a year by by 4 quarters. During this quarter, I got to be on this, and the next quarter, I got to be on this. And if you detail that plan, you know, and like I was telling y'all on the break, I made Siri my best friend. Like, she's like my one employee, you know. I every once in a while I ask her, who's your boss, Siri? And, you know, she says, you know, you, my lord. She calls me my lord. So, you know, I use her for everything, you know. As soon as something comes up to my mind, you know, like any idea, a song, a cover, whatever. Hey Siri, remind me of this tomorrow. Remind me in a couple of days to do this. And she'll remind you, you know. That's how beautiful she is. You know,
I need to hire Siri, dude.
Yeah, bro. Yeah,
awesome,
yeah.
Man.
And she's 24/7.
She argues with you, man. She'll make you mad.
And there's a couple of times where she don't remind you. I've had 2 appointments last week. They were calling me, hey, what we're here. We've been here for 30 minutes. I'm like, oh, shoot. Siri didn't remind me. Yeah, I came in.
It's like the dog ate my homework.
Yeah.
But anyways.
Yeah. So I guess we got about like 10 more minutes left. We want to jump into another.
Let's hear his story. Yeah.
What do you want to hear? What I mentioned earlier, what I do.
Yeah, what you do, what you're into.
Well, here for the last couple years, I've been into psychology. Psychology is like
your eye opener.
My first love, I should say. You know, I have a wife, so don't say nothing. My first love, and I really fell in love with it because some bunch of the things that I learned through studies and books, I actually lived through them. You know, so me learning this stuff, like I could easily connect and relate a lot of this stuff. Like, oh yeah, I went through that. Oh yeah, like I've experienced that. So that's what got me hooked. It was a personal attraction to it because I've lived it. But really what I study is behavior, human behavior, what drives us to make decisions on our daily lives, what makes us get up in the morning to go to work,
Right.
Obviously family and stuff like that, but there's really more detail into it.
It's more
mentally.
subconscious stuff going on.
There's so much more behind the scenes that's going on in how we decide. We all think we just make a choice, but no, it's so much more into it, and so that's what I study.
So like into manipulating such as like media and such.
You can, there's ethical ways and there's like dark ways to use it,
like what's going on right now with Mark Zuckerberg. I think they put him on the chair and they're questioning him. Did you hear about that?
No,
that's
because he was using I guess
data.
The data.
Oh, yeah.
Not him necessarily, but it's a third party company that uses all the behavior data that you go through the internet, where you touch, where you scroll.
And you know what? I have a little thing with that, because if you're on Facebook and you're putting all your information out there, it's your fucking fault.
Yeah, right.
Basically, you should assume no privacy online whatsoever.
Like, and I understand, because they are going through all that. They're getting all your information. What I have a problem with, I guess, is whenever they start getting your friends' stuff as well, because that's another thing that they're doing. They're going through your shit, and now they're like, oh, let's check out all his friends now as well. And the thing is, what we should have done, we shouldn't have done Facebook where it was free. And I know everybody is like, no, we're not going to pay for fucking Facebook. Well, you're not going to fucking pay for it. Someone has to pay for it. There's nothing free in this world. So if we would have paid for it, we could have been like, hey, we don't want you sharing our information. And they would have stopped.
Well, it's because I think you can do that now. You can do that, and that's what Mark Zuckerberg was saying every time they were asking him, because the senators were asking him, do we have control over, the privacy that we have to keep it? And he says it straight up, like every single time you sign into an app, it asks you, can we have your personal information from Facebook? You allow that app. That's you allowing that app to take that information. You could say no. You could
small little words in the bottom that says terms and policies.
Yeah.
If you read them, it'll tell you. If you don't read them and you're too lazy, then it's your fault.
Yeah, and
you take the risk.
You don't need Facebook. If you don't want to get your information, don't use it. It's simple.
And how Jesse was saying, nothing is free. But I think the essence of Facebook is kind of. It's kind of like the radio deal. You got to get an audience first in order to monetize anything. You can't monetize Facebook if there's nothing else going on. At first, you can just say, here, you got to pay so much to be a member of this.
Ads and sponsors.
Yeah, because you got a public. Now you have a platform. Now you have corporations and businesses that are needing to pay because you have a platform.
So what if all the people get together and do like some sort of petition, and we're like, we want to pay for Facebook instead?
Oh, no one's gonna do that.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna do that.
So everybody's then they should quit fucking complaining about all their shit.
There you go.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Fucking simple.
There you go.
That's the sum of this episode.
Pretty much.
Stop fucking complaining. Yeah, that's really what it is. Stop complaining. Yeah.
But Facebook, let's get admit, Facebook is a monster. I mean, it's
and I think we gotta appreciate more than complain, because back then, you couldn't conversate with somebody around the world, and basically now you can shop here, you can conversate here, before some Muslim in the Middle East had to walk across the Sahara Desert to go look up for a book if he wanted knowledge, and now you just and you got whatever information you want.
It's there in your pocket, and you're busy seeing what everybody else is on Facebook.
I don't know if you guys read the Bible or anything, but there's where it talks about when the second coming of Jesus, that you will hear a trumpet throughout the whole world. And to me, I was like, man, how's everybody gonna see him and the trumpet? And, and hear the trumpet. And there's a phone. You know, now you're connected to the whole world. Somebody's recording it, and you can see it. I mean, that's what I
A way of seeing it.
You know, like it's an old book that was written before time now, and you know, it's like, okay, how are you going to hear that, and how are you going to see it?
But that's if you actually believe in it, right, Richard?
Yeah.
Because
Of course. You know, everybody's got their belief, but
Yeah, and that's what the Bible actually says, that only those who you know actually believed in Jesus are gonna hear it, and the other ones aren't. So Richard, you're not hearing nothing, brother.
I'm hard hearing anyway.
Yeah. So one of the things that we kind of picked out, just to sum up with this, perspective. You know, you're talking about psychology, and we kind of touched a little bit about religion. I think one of the biggest things that you need in order to keep going and whatever it is you're doing is a very intense perspective of looking at the world. You know, I think you have to have some different way of looking at the world. Whether it is you have free will to do whatever you want, you know, and you can choose your destiny and you go out and search for it every day, or you know, if you're a religious person, you believe that God has a destiny for you and called you to do something. And at the end of the day, it's kind of the same thing, because if you believe God destined you for something, you wake up every day following that destiny. It's kind of the same thing, you know? And ultimately, that's what fulfills, you know, your destiny. But that is, the perspective part of it is very important. Do you have any perspective, Richard, that keeps you, I guess, you know, very, very on the target?
I would say just keeping an open mind about everything. Everything, literally. In my opinion, there's no objective right, no objective wrong. There's no certainty in anything, you know what I mean? So that's just kind of how I live my day to day. Right. You just, with an open mind, you know.
You can learn a lot from being open-minded, you know. If you're a religious person and you don't believe in this and that, be interested in it, and you'll learn something that you can apply to your life. You know, a lot of things in the Bible, people live that way, you know, and it's created harmony. But
before we started,
you can choose.
I think we mentioned something about the wall, about the wall that Trump wants to build. There's something that I want to point out about that, you know, especially from us Mexicans. We criticize Trump for the wall, right? Like, we don't want that wall. We don't want that wall. But yet, at the same time, we Mexicans, I'm not saying we Mexicans, everyone puts a wall around their beliefs, whatever it is. Puts a wall and says, you know, this is what I believe. You don't believe this, so you get out of here, you know?
Yeah. I think I heard it somewhere that someone was talking about that, and they said that all the people that wanted the wall, and they're like, man, we haven't got the wall. Well, if you have a problem with different people's beliefs as far as religion, if you have a problem with being a homophobe or whatever it is, if you have a problem with a bunch of that stuff, your wall is there. It's just it's around your heart.
Yeah, it's an actual wall. Like, a lot of people, you start talking about something and automatically they will shut into whatever, and they will defend their side, you know, even more if you start attacking their side. But, you know, I think we're all adults now, and we all got to evolve into being adults, and having different opinions is what makes humanity, I think.
Yeah,
you know, it just
what makes us better.
Yeah, that's how we find. That's how we conclude things. You know, that's how we say,
here's innovate, man.
Here's
innovate.
Yeah.
If you don't think differently, you never innovate.
Yeah, exactly. And in a world of perspectives, if I draw a 6 here, y'all will see a 9, and we will see a 6. Neither of us is wrong, because we're seeing it from two different perspectives, you know. And in order to get to the right conclusion, me and Jessica say, no, it's a fucking 6, and we can sit here and fight all we want, and we're building a wall. The truth is, you're right and we're right, but when we talk things out, we can get to a bigger conclusion.
Yeah, we can both be like, Oh.
You know, oh, okay, I see what you're saying. You see what we're saying. You know, and you get to a greater truth, I believe.
Yeah, and I think that was part of I think it was episode 1 where we had a lot of people attacking me and Ricardo for the stuff that we were saying.
Yeah.
Instead of trying
To listen.
and give their own opinion about it. Like, don't just go and just trash talk us. Like, if you want to come to the show and you want to talk to us, like, we're open-minded.
Yeah.
Like, that's what we're trying to do is, like, you can tell me what you think is right, and I can tell you what I think is right, and we can come to an agreement. We're like, hey, man, I think
We have different beliefs.
And for all you listeners out there, we're very, very soon we're gonna be getting a calling line. That way, anywhere where you're at, you have any objection to what we're saying or whatever, you're gonna be able to give us a call on the show, and we're gonna be able to speak with you, and that's what it's about, you know, because we're not sitting here claiming that we have all the truth, because that would be ignorant from our part, you know. Knowing, you know, Gil was saying yesterday, we were talking, and you know, we were saying that the more your knowledge expands, you know, quote unquote, the more the wall of your frontier of ignorance grows as well, you know. The more it grows, the more you realize there's a lot of shit out there that you didn't even know, that you didn't even know to even ask the question, you know. So the more you know, the more you don't know. You know. So anyone who says, oh, this is the truth, and this is what I was taught, and this is the ultimate truth,
yeah,
I'm very, very sorry for you.
And I'm going to go into a little bit of detail. I don't know how much time we got left, but I got into it with someone the other day because they were asking me if I was going to do the Lent and all that stuff, and I was like, I'm not Catholic. And they were like, you're Mexican and you're not Catholic.
There goes a wall.
And I was like, yeah, like, I'm not Catholic. And I was like, why are you Catholic? They're like, well, because my mama was Catholic. What made her Catholic? When we started,
Her mom was her.
and I was like, all right. I was like, where did it start at? And she couldn't even tell me where it started. And I'm gonna leave y'all with this: for all you guys that are Catholic and wanna always be bashing me because I'm not Catholic, learn where y'all became Catholics. Learn it.
Learn your roots. Learn your roots.
Learn it. And I guess I can give you a little glimpse of it. It's gonna be with rape. It's gonna be with murder. So I'm gonna leave y'all
Slavery, pillage, famine.
I'm gonna leave y'all a little bit of homework for all y'all people that are attacking me. Learn what you are.
As a matter of fact, in 2 weeks, I believe, hopefully soon, we're gonna be having Father Alonso here. So we're gonna be able to ask some pretty good questions. You know, according to what you said, you know, with what you said, there is evil everywhere. You know, there is evil in religious people. There is evil in atheists. There is evil in any situation. You know, I mean, that's part of the fact that there's good. You know, if you have good, you have to have evil. I mean, it comes with the package. You know,
It's a balance.
you fall in love with somebody. What happens when you fall in love with somebody? All of a sudden, a couple months later, you're suffering. How can someone that you love at the same time make you suffer? Because that's what comes with love, you know.
Yeah.
I used to be, you know, agnostic. I'm still an agnostic, you know, but I think we should all be agnostic. I think we should always follow everything with, you know, questioning and realizing, you know, testing it, asking a lot of questions, because that's what leads to truth, I believe. Yeah. So if anyone else has anything to say, we're about to end this episode.
No, that was great. That was awesome.
This was an awesome topic. We went from photography to music to religion, like that. That's how amazing this Ricas Platicas show is.
And just to be clear, I don't have anything against Catholics. Before people go.
I'm not sure how far Jesse's gonna get on the Ricas Platicas show, because Yeah.
I don't have anything against Catholics. Just to let it be known.
It's just
my
opinions.
wife is a Catholic. Just for all you out there that are like, oh, you're just against Catholic. My wife is Catholic.
We love-
and I actually do go to church sometimes with her.
Yeah.
I'm not against any religion. I'm against you if you're hard-headed and you don't want to open up your mind to other things.
Well, I'm against the hard-headedness, I'm against the close-mindedness.
Yeah, that wall they put up here talking about.
Yeah.
They say you're with us or you're not.
Yeah,
Your mind.
yeah, because I've learned to respect the individual like I respect myself. I was there one time. I was the one behind the altar saying, if you're an atheist, you're this and that, and you're going to go to... That was me. So I've learned to respect, and say, that's how he was raised. That's the information he was raised with. But it's now time to question these things. It's now time to actually, if you love, what you believe in, then why not? Even the Bible says that. I mean, even the Bible itself says you have to renovate, reform your mind. You have to get better and better. You have to seek for wisdom. It's written all over the Bible. Seek for wisdom. Seek wisdom. Seek wisdom. Don't take anybody's, word for it. Don't take anybody's word for it. So,
and I mean, and that is very true. And like, I guess one thing that I did want to ask you, Richard, because I know, like me, my faith is really what drives me a bunch of the times. What is it that you can fall back on, like when everything's going crappy? Like me, it's like God. What is it that you can fall back onto?
Man,
Nothing.
I don't know, man. I don't know if I can answer that one. I don't really know.
well, the answer is no one. But his own...
No one.
But myself. I mean, that sounds kind of egotistical and self-centered, but it's true. You know what I mean?
In a way, I'm not Catholic. I was raised around, Catholicism. Is that correct?
Yeah.
But either way, to this day, I became more of a spiritual person, where I believe that there's a God and I believe there's a devil. And at the same time, I have family who are atheists, and they have other beliefs, but nonetheless, I respect them. And the fact that you're saying, what do you have to fall back on is it's your own building. It's what you've done with your life, right? Isn't that kind of the same principle?
Your own
we do
reality.
the same thing. Just we do it with faith. We rely on somebody to kind of give us like a feeling that everything we're asking for is coming to us. Like, I've had several occasions in my life where I've asked questions. I've prayed, and every once in a while you start losing it. Like, am I being heard? Before you know it, you get an answer. The problem is you have to be able to recognize it. When you're a kid, you have a crush on this girl in school and this and that. And you go through it to where it's like, why not? And then you meet that person. You realize, what I liked was the thought of it. Now that you know the person, it's like you get your answer right there within. It's like, this is why it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
And just like that was just an example, but there's plenty of other situations like that. But back to what you were saying, I think we're all under the same thing. Like, we're gonna build up what we can, improve our minds all we can.
Yeah.
Ask for wisdom.
Yeah.
Talk to people.
Of course.
Self-improvement. Better life for us and our loved ones.
And that is the mission of Ricas Platicas, for any new listeners out there. Ricas Platicas, our mission is not to, shove an idea down your throat. That is the least thing we want to do. We're all seekers. And if, at least, speaking for myself, I'm a seeker of truth, of knowledge, of wisdom, of, information. And that's why, like I said, I hang out with fine people like these guys here, because I learn from everyone, and the more you build a walls, the more you don't learn, So we hope that you find some valuable information, and any questions you have that, whatever you want us to talk about, make sure you send us an inbox, a comment, an email. You can find us on the podcast app, on iTunes, on Facebook. We're soon going to be making an Instagram. So we love to hear you. We'd love to talk about whatever topic, because that's what we're here to tear down walls of ego and of anything that will block information. So with that being said, I would like to bring this episode to an end. So thank you, Richard, for joining us today. Thank you, Gil. Jose, Jesse, and everyone out there. Thank you for checking us out today. We hope that we got somewhere with this conversation, and we'll see you back next time. So thank you all. Ricas Platicas. We'll see you soon.